Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. A very warm welcome to the Strategic Business Leader Webinar to Success for exams in December 2021. I am your tutor, Kashif Kamran. Welcome to the day 2 of this webinar to success. And the agenda of the day 2 is very, very important. We will be looking inside professional marks and a deep investigation of the professional marks on this day 2 of the webinar to success. Just before starting that, let's have a quick look at the agenda of this webinar. Now, in terms of the agenda of the webinar, we started this yesterday, the day 1, and yesterday we spent a lot of time on deciding how you should be approaching the SBL paper with 14 days to go. Now you have 13 days as of today. Recent changes, we came across the recent changes, particularly the change which came in the 4 lines of defense, which is in the area of risk management, and particularly the change which came in about robotics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, particularly around the potential benefits, ethics, risk, and controls. We also spent time on the key resource library, which you should be having at this point in time. And then over the span of the day 1 yesterday, I did discuss with you several tips and techniques which must have been beneficial for all of you. So let's start with the day 2. The day 2 focus is on professional marks, a very important area of your SBL exams. And there are certain number of students who have a lot of fear factor about professional marks. So this day 2 will mitigate the fear factor, and this will really provide you the right guidance you need on the professional marks. And they're pretty simple. I have no idea why students consider professional marks as a challenge or as a fear factor, but after the session today, that will be mitigated, and every one of you will be crystal clear on professional marks, how to go about it, how to obtain them, and how to be good at them. So any misconceptions about professional marks will be mitigated through the day 2 of the webinar today. We'll be looking at the formats. We'll be looking at the examiner feedbacks as well. The formats will come under discussion today, and the feedback of the examiner will come under the discussion today. So let's start. Let's open the day 2 formally, the day 2 of the webinar. And the focus of the day 2 is on professional marks. Now, you all know 20% of the paper, which is like 1/5 of the paper, consists of professional marks. So it contributes 20% to your success even. Now, how much you should be scoring out of 20, and in order to be secured that you will pass the SBL in the very first exam sitting. So I'll be discussing a lot of tips and techniques around professional marks. I will be discussing the examiner guidance on it. I'll be discussing the formats. I will be giving you the breakup of the professional marks as well. And over the next 2.5 hours, you will learn a lot in terms of professional marks, and then you all will be very clear on it. So let's start the proceedings on the professional marks. Now, just before I start the exercise, and we start the drill on the professional marks by taking into account the December 18 paper as an example. I'll go through the December 18 paper and we'll work on the professional marks just to give you guidance on how you should be looking for them in exam paper. But just before starting it, let's have a quick look at the presentation for professional marks. Professional skills. Now, when you look at the SBL paper, your SBL paper has 5 professional skills, which is right in front of your screen now. Communication, commercial acumen, analysis, skepticism, and evaluation. Now, how you go about implementing the skills in your answer, how you go about demonstrating the skills in your answer. Now, the key to success is that you need to demonstrate these skills. And that's a very, very important word, that you need to demonstrate the skills when you're writing the answer. So this demonstration is when you're writing the answer. Now, over the next 2.5 hours, I'll be focusing on demonstrating how to demonstrate, sorry. How would you go about demonstrating the skills? And what is the literal meaning of the word demonstrate when it comes to skill? Now, if one student learned the meaning of skills, he open up the internet or the Google, or he open up the literature for SBL, and he'll really find what's the meaning of communication, or what's the meaning of acumen, or what's the meaning of analysis, or what's the meaning of skepticism, is of no use. Because if you just learn the meaning of a skill, you are not demonstrating it. For demonstration of the skill, you need something extra, which I will be discussing today. So you have 5 skills, but the more important thing to get marks is the demonstration. Now we'll be focusing on demonstration throughout the session today, so nothing to worry about. 20 professional skill marks are there in the paper, which are distributed over the number of questions you have in the paper. Marking scheme includes 20 marks for professional skills and competencies. So you need to be very, very good on these professional skills and competencies in order to fetch most of the 20 marks. And I normally tell my students that out of these 20 marks, you should be aiming at 15 plus. 15 plus out of the 20, which is very, very easy. And if you start getting that 15 plus, your first goal of achieving 50 marks in SBL paper becomes pretty easier. So I will be giving you a guidance of how you can aim at 15 plus out of those 20 professional marks you have in the SBL paper. The skills being examined in the requirement should have been evident in how the candidate answered the task. Now, when you need to demonstrate the skill in exam paper, it should be evident in your answer. It should be evident in your answer. If the skill is not evident in your answer, you will not be fetching marks. So the clue here is it should be evident. Evident means it should be demonstrated in your answer. So you need to demonstrate that, and it should be evident in your answer to fetch the marks allocated on professional skill. Now, how would you do that? That's the discussion which will unfold shortly. When awarding professional skill marks, marker look primarily at the professional skill being tested in the requirement. So the very first thing the marker is looking for when the marker is looking at your professional skills, he's first looking at the skill being tested. It could be communication, it could be analysis, it could be commercial acumen, it could be skepticism. So the very first thing the marker is looking for is the skill being tested, and is that evident in your answer, number one. But also looked at journal professionalism. And the marker is not just looking at the skill being tested, the marker is also looking at the journal professionalism in your answer. So there are 2 things making up the professional marks: the skill, the first, and then the journal professionalism, the second. So the marker is looking for 2 things in your answer: the skill and the evidence of that you demonstrated it. And secondly, the journal professionalism. What is the journal professionalism? The examiner makes it very clear. This is the wordings of the examiner in the bullet number 3. Examiner tells us that journal professionalism includes consideration of logical, well presented answer. Your answer should be logical and well presented. You should present your answer in the right format. You should present the answers with short paragraphs and headings, which avoid unnecessary repetition, and answer the question set. Journal professionalism contributes to professional marks. The way you present the answer, avoiding repetitions in your answer, and answering what has been asked for. That is also part of professional skills. So that means when you're looking at professional skills, you need to know the breakup of professional skills. Professional skills is not only the skill, right? Professional skill also includes journal professionalism. So we have to do two discussions today. We have to do a discussion on the skill today, and we have to do a discussion on journal professionalism today, because both are part of professional marks. So I hope you're getting that one definition from here. If I go to my Word file for the day 2, right in front of your screen now, today we are focusing on professional marks, right? Now, in terms of the professional marks, there are two things to understand. Number one, the skill and the demonstration of that, and the demonstration of the skill, number one. And number two is the journal professionalism. Now, if you become clear with both today, that's excellent. So by the end of the webinar today, you should be very sound on demonstration of the skill, number one, and you should be very sound on the journal professionalism in order to fetch most of the 20 professional marks you have in the paper. So let's go one by one into the skill demonstration and into the journal professionalism and understand clearly what both of them means and how significant they are to your success. Okay, let's take a step ahead. Now, when you look at the word journal professionalism first, before I come to the skill, journal professionalism has been very well defined by the examiner at multiple places in the past papers. I was discussing with you examiner reports yesterday, right? And those examiner reports is a wonderful resource when you need to understand what a journal professionalism is. And I did mention to you yesterday that you should read the March-June 21 examiner report, and you should read the September-December 20 examiner report, because you will get a lot of idea about lots of weaknesses which exist in the student answers, and you can overcome that. Now, examiner in the reports also cover journal professionalism, the meaning of journal professionalism, and I tried putting that on my presentation, and I'll be showing you directly from the examiner report as well. Now, one thing which is important is the markers are looking for answers to be presented in an appropriate tone for the recipient, appropriate tone to whom you are writing. Now, you need to understand that in the SBL paper, you are writing to someone senior. Either you might be writing to a director, or you might be writing to a CFO, or you might be writing to a chairman. So you're writing to someone senior. So when you're writing to someone senior, your tone has to be very clear. You cannot be aggressive. You have to exercise careful judgment. Your tone has to be clear. There should not be any ambiguity in your tone. Everything should be clear because you're writing to a senior audience. So the tone is also very important, which the marker is looking for. So the marker is looking for the skill. The marker is looking for the journal professionalism, and the marker is also looking for the tone in consideration of the audience to whom you're writing the answer. Now let's open it up. 20 professional marks. Put the answer in the right format asked for. Now this is part of journal professionalism, right? Put the answer in the right format being asked for. If you're not putting the answer in the right format, you are losing your professional marks. So the right format, if the examiner is asking you to write a report, then write a report. If the examiner is asking you to write a briefing note, then write a briefing note. If the examiner is asking you to write a letter, then write a letter. If the examiner is asking you to write a press release, then write a press release. Right format is extremely important. Number one. Number two, head your answer. Head your answer properly. The more headings in your answer is better for you to demonstrate journal professionalism. And I'll show you exactly this from the examiner report, word to word from examiner report, because I just extracted this from examiner report on my presentation. Number one, headings. And two, format. Format and headings. This is crucial to gain most of your professional marks. Number three, something we were even discussing yesterday. Avoid long paragraph. Examiner was telling us yesterday on day one, a paragraph which is 4 sentences long is a long paragraph. So your paragraph should be maximum 4 sentences or less. But if you're writing more than 4 sentences, that's a long paragraph. So examiner is saying if you're developing a point, your maximum length of a para should not be more than 4 sentences. So the maximum length should not be more than 3 to 4 sentences long. Avoid long paragraph is part of your journal professionalism. Put the answer in the right tone. Demonstrate the professional skill requested under each requirement by carefully looking at the prompt or hint given by the examiner. Now, this is what I have to demonstrate today. How would you pick the right tone? To pick the right tone, you need to pick the skill. You need to demonstrate the skill. If you are demonstrating the skill, you are definitely putting the answer in the right tone. But how will you demonstrate the skill? Because there is much of a fear factor around demonstrating the skill. Because if you're not demonstrating the skill, perhaps you're not demonstrating your answer in the right tone. So the right tone is connected with the demonstration of the skill. Now, just listen to me very carefully before we start an exercise. When you look at a journal professionalism includes, number one, put the answer in the right format. Number one. Number two, put headings as much as possible. Avoid long paragraphs. And number fourth, avoid repetition of points. Four things are part of journal professionalism. So if you want to be focused on journal professionalism, you have to be very much focused on format. You have to be very much focused on headings. You have to be very much focused on the length of a paragraph, which should not be more than 4 sentences long. And you should be very much focused on avoiding repetition. So you should avoid long paragraphs and you should avoid repetitions. 4 things to focus on. So when you're writing an answer, if your answer is in the right format, you are gaining professional marks. If it has headings, you're gaining professional marks. If it does not include long paragraphs, you're gaining marks. And if there is no repetition. So journal professionalism is part and parcel of professional skill marks you have in SBL. So there is an element of journal professionalism out of the 20 marks you have in the paper. We don't know how much, but definitely the examiner is saying, the marker is saying that there is an element of journal professionalism in the 20% marks. So is journal professionalism easier? Can you be able to demonstrate journal professionalism? Is that something doable for all of you? I believe there should not be a fear factor around journal professionalism. But yes, there is a fear factor around demonstrating the skill. But is everyone sound on journal professionalism? I believe there should not be a fear factor around journal professionalism. Right? Journal professionalism is pretty simple, but how many times when you're writing an answer at home, you demonstrate that? Ask a question to yourself. How many times have you avoided writing long paragraphs? How many times have you tried putting the right format? How many times have you tried putting headings in your answer? If you are doing that on a regular basis, you are demonstrating a journal professionalism ahead of your exams. But you still have 13 days, right? So whichever answer you are writing, will you write your answer with journal professionalism? Will you try to ensure that your answer includes journal professionalism, everyone? And honestly, tell me, is that something easier to be demonstrated? Right? It is something easier to be demonstrated, right? But yes, I believe the risk in professional marks is with the number 2, which I'm about to discuss with you. That is demonstration of the skills. Skill demonstration. And I believe most of the fear factor exists with the demonstration of the skill. If the examiner asks you to demonstrate commercial acumen, you will struggle. If the examiner asks you to demonstrate analysis, you will struggle. If the examiner asks you to demonstrate skepticism, you will struggle. I think the main fear factor among all of you is with the demonstration of skill. Am I right? I believe you don't have a fear factor with journal professionalism. But is journal professionalism part of your professional marks, true or false? Is journal professionalism part of your professional marks, true or false? That's definitely true, right? But how many things contributes to professional marks? Two things. Number one, the skill. Number two, the journal professionalism, right? But I hope you're all clear on journal professionalism. We should now focus on skill. But when I go back and start a drill, in that drill, I will be demonstrating the journal professionalism as well as the skill demonstration. Now, tell me one thing. Look at the first thing in the journal professionalism format. What is the source of learning the right formats? How would you learn the formats? What is the source of learning formats? Before we even come to journal professionalism, what is the source of learning formats? What is the best source of learning formats? Okay, I'm just looking at the answers. What answers have I got from the panel? Examiner reports, past papers, embracing change article, wonderful. Most of you are saying examiner answer. One student is saying the articles. Yes, there are two things from where you can learn the formats of the formats you have in the paper. Number one is the article. By the SBL examining team. Article by the SBL examining team. And I've put the article in the Google Drive. And the title of the article is Effective Communication in SBL. Effective Communication in SBL. This was published when this paper was introduced for the first time. Article by the SBL examining team, Effective Communication in SBL. I'll just be showing you this article in a minute. And the second source is the examiner answers. Look at the examiner answers because they will tell you how you write a report, how they write a letter. You're not looking in the answer. I even guided that yesterday. You just look at the answer, how the examiner started the report and ended the report, how the examiner started a letter and ended the letter, how the examiner started a briefing note and ended the briefing note. So you can learn the formats from the examiner answers even. But the very first source from where you can learn the formats is the article of the examining team, which is known as Effective Communication in SBL. Let me take you to that article and let me show you that on the screen. And it's already with you in the Google Drive. I hope you can see on your screen an article, which is Importance of Effective Communication in SBL. Please confirm me that if you can see it. Can you see this article, Importance of Effective Communication in SBL, right here? This is a 9-page article, and this is available on the Google Drive, and this contains the formats. Please ensure you read it if you have not yet read it. How many of you have read this 9 pages so far, 13 days away from your exams? Honestly, tell me, have you read it or have you not read it? Okay, very good. Very good. Wonderful. Wonderful so far. So no one with a no answer. Okay, the first no answer. Bezad is saying no. Okay, you should be revisiting it. Ikra is saying no. So 2 no answers. So those of you who are saying no, should you be spending time on it like 1 day, 2 day? Right? That would be excellent, right? For Bezad and Ikra, I hope you will be spending time on it, right? Importance of effective communication. Now you go down on the second page of this article, page number 2. Can you see the contents? And in the contents, you can just look at how many formats have been covered. On the content, you can see the letters, emails, and memos. Sorry, just 1 minute. Letters, emails, and memos have been covered on the page number 3. Can you all see that? Examiner has covered the letters, emails, and memos on the page number 3. Reports on the page number 4. Presentation slides and notes on the page number 4. Visual aids such as grids or heat maps on page number 5. a briefing note, briefing paper, working note on page number 5, a press release on page number 6, project initiation document on page number 6, journal professionalism, which we were talking about on page number 7, communication tools used in exhibits. Examiner has also covered the risk register. Can you see the risk register covered on page number 8? Examiner is telling you that how the examiner will give you a risk register in the paper. Just listen to this very carefully. I hope when you look at the exhibits in the past paper, examiner is telling you what sort of exhibits you will see in the SBL paper. I hope when you've done the past papers, in a lot of past papers, you must have seen an exhibit about the website homepage. So website homepage is a very regular exhibit in lots of past papers, right? Even minutes of the meeting is a very common exhibit. A lot of time you open the past paper and one of the exhibit is the minutes of the meeting. The examiner is telling you about the minutes of the meeting, what exactly is in the minutes of the meeting, what exactly is on the web page, and what exactly is in the risk register, because these are very common exhibits you have in the SBL paper. So this is such an important document, which is also telling you about the key exhibits in the SBL exams and telling you what you should be knowing about these exhibits ahead of your exams. So please ensure that you spend time on these 9 pages. You will get to know a lot about the exhibits, like minutes, like website homepage, and like risk register. You will also get to know about journal professionalism on page number 7, which I was just discussing with you. So journal professionalism is part of your professional marks. And you will also get to know about the formats of letter, emails, and memos, reports, then briefing notes, briefing papers, and working notes. They are the same. Press release. And if the examiner asks you to write a project initiation document, what is a project initiation document and how you write it? In a computer-based exam, obviously you cannot make a heat map. In a manual exam, and it used to be a pen and paper exam, in a pen and paper exam, you could have drawn the heat map or the Mendelometrics. Now tell me, in a computer-based exam, can you draw the Mendelometrics? No. In a computer-based exam, can you draw a heat map? No. So this article was written at a time when we had a pen and paper exams. So lots of formats will not be applicable. So heat map, you can take knowledge of the heat map from here. You can take knowledge of the heat map from here, but don't expect your examiner will ask you to draw a heat map in a computer-based exams. Or you can take knowledge of the grids like Mendelometrics. You can take knowledge about it from here, but don't expect your examiner ask you to draw a Mendelometrics in a computer-based exam. That's never. So please come out of that misconception that can the examiner ask me to draw a heat map? How can you draw a heat map on a word processor? Or how can you draw a Mendelometrics on a word processor? Yes, in a pen and paper exam, that was fine, but no more in a computer-based exam. You might get a heat map in an exhibit, and you might need to evaluate the heat map. You might need to analyze the heat map, or you might need to recommend risk strategies for a given heat map in the exam paper. I hope you're getting this, everyone. No, John, you will not be, not at all. So examiner will not expect you to draw the grids and draw the maps anywhere in the future exams, but examiner can give you a grid or give you a heat map and ask you to analyze it or ask you to evaluate it. I hope you're all clear on that, right? Including John. Okay, that's great. So will you be spending time on this, exploring the formats? How many formats are you getting out of it? Letter, emails, and memos. They are a total of 3 formats. Reports, 4 formats. Briefing notes, briefing paper, and working notes, they are the same. So 5 formats. Press release is 6 formats. Project initiation document is 7 formats. And then a lot about presentation slides and notes. Now, in a computer-based exams, the presentation slides and notes are given, right? As a word, as a response option, right? When it was a pen and paper exam, you need to make the presentation slides and notes. But now in a computer-based exam, in the response option, already the presentation slides are given. Is that true? Bizad, I'm just coming to your question. In a computer-based exam, in a response options, is the presentation slides already given to you? So are you worried about knowing the format of the presentation slides for a computer-based exam? No. But when it was a pen and paper exam, you should be knowing about it. So currently, I believe presentation slides and notes is useless. But the other formats, letters, reports, briefing notes, press release, project initiation documents, they're all very important and you should be knowing them. Right. Bezat, section of the report, if examiner asks you, and a couple of times in the past paper, examiner has asked you to write a section of the report. So when you are writing a report, you write a report with that to, from, date, subject, right? I've shown you that in the examiner answer yesterday. Let me show you that on the screen. I hope you can see the answers, Bezat, on the screen. This is the answer we were looking at yesterday on day one. Look at the report, how the report has been structured to, from, subject, date. Can all of you see that in front of your screen? Can all of you see this answer from March, June 21 exams? So see, when you're writing a proper report, it starts with to, from, subject, date. But when you're writing a section of the report, you're not writing to, from, subject, date. You're just writing a heading, section of the report, and you start writing the answer in a paragraph form. You don't start section of the report with to, from, date, subject. You omit everything, right? You directly come to section of the report and you directly start with the answer, stakeholder management, and you start writing the answer. Is that clear to you, Bezat? So you avoid writing the header of the report when you're writing a section of the report, right? But when you're writing a formal report, you write, yes, without even introduction, right? So when you're writing a section of the report, you avoid the header, you avoid the introduction, you directly jump into the body. Section of the report means the body of the report, right? I hope you're clear with that, Bezat. So please ensure you learn the formats. I will be coming back to them and will be spending some time on it, but that's the source. So the first source of learning the format is the article, Importance of Effective Communication in SBL. Please ensure you spend time on it. Importance of Effective Communication in SBL, a 9-page article. And this is wonderful, right? If you can spend time on. If you come across a format when you're practicing at home, which is not given in the article, then you can explore that format from the examiner answer. Examiner answer is another wonderful source of formats. So there are two sources from where the formats can be learned, and you should use the right format in the exam paper. Don't put the wrong format in the exam paper because it's part of your journal professionalism. Is everyone clear with this? Okay, now let's look at the second crucial part and broaden the discussion. Now, to broaden the discussion, I'm looking at the skill demonstration, which to me is a fear factor among the student community. Putting the answer in the right format, avoiding the long paragraphs, putting the headings, and avoid repetitions is something easily done if you know the formats. But demonstrating the skill is something we are starting now. Let's start the exercise on demonstrating the skill. Let me do an exercise first on my presentation, then I'll go back to the December 18 paper and we'll spend the entire webinar on the December 18 paper looking at the professional skills, and I will be giving you clues, techniques of demonstrating the skills in the December 18 paper. And I think there are diversified skills in the December 18 paper to be addressed. Now look at one illustration before we go back to the December 18 paper. I'll come to the examiner, look at the examiner feedback. Examiner is saying careful attention to the format required is very important and students should focus on it, not ignore it or reproduce the answer in wrong formats. Examiner is saying students should be very much careful about format, careful attention to the format. That's one comment of the examiner. Whatever the format requested, examiner is saying, the answer should be presented and structured clearly with headers. Can you see this? Examiner is saying whatever the format is, whether it is a briefing note, it is a letter, it is a report, whatever the format is, you should use headers in your answer, throughout the answer, and avoid long paragraphs and repetitive information. This is what I've taken from the March-June 21 examiner report. So examiner is saying, pay careful attention to the formats. I hope you will all pay it. Number two, examiner is saying, whatever the format is, put headings. I hope you trust your examiner here. Examiner is saying, avoid long paragraphs. I hope you trust the examiner, and avoid repeating information. So is bullet number 2 clear to all of you? This is an examiner feedback directly from an examiner report, which is March-June 21. And I hope you trust it. Third, now let's come to the professional marks. Let's look at the demonstration of professional skills. Now listen to me for 5 minutes carefully before I take you to the December 18 paper. Or I think it's more appropriate that we go directly to the December 18 paper, would make more sense. Okay, can you all see the December 18 paper in front of your screen? Tell me that. Because I will be using the platform on the last day, right? On the 4th day, I'll be using the platform, and I will be telling you everything about platforms, the do's and don'ts, what you should do, what you should not do, the pros and cons and everything, right? But I will not be using the platforms today and tomorrow. Okay, if you can look at the December 18 paper and you scroll down, you have an introductory page, which is the introduction of the case study. And after the introduction of the case study, examiner is telling you how many exhibits we have over here. We'll be putting emphasis on how to read and how to plan on the last day. Tomorrow, I will be telling you about the technical marks. So you will get diversified focus of SPL today and tomorrow, but on the last day, we'll bring it all together and we'll discuss one full case study from the start to end. So you get to know how to read, how to plan, how to write, and everything, right? So normally this is the first page of the case study, giving you an intro and telling you about the number of exhibits you have, and you go down and you start looking at the requirements. Now, technical marks are tomorrow, so I'm not focusing on technical marks at all, right? So don't expect technical marks being discussed today, because that's the focus tomorrow. But today, the focus is professional marks, particularly the skill marks. Now listen to this very carefully. Look at the first question, question number 1A. And this is the intro of the question number 1A. And then you have the requirement of the question number 1A for 16 marks. This is the technical marks, right? So the 16 is the technical marks, which we will be focusing tomorrow. So the 16 is basically the technical marks, T. And then you look at here, this is the P, this is the professional marks, right? Which is 3. So 3 professional marks, 16 technical marks in the requirement number 1A. Then you go to 1B, then you go to 1C, then you go to 1D. Now look at the professional skill marks examiner is asking for in 1A, and let's go one by one in each one of them and do the whole December 18 paper. So let me start the analysis on my Word file simultaneously. Skill demonstration. We're taking into focus the December 18 paper as an example of how to demonstrate skills. And we'll do every question in terms of demonstrating skill as an example of how to demonstrate skill. Okay, the first one, 1A. And in 1A, let's see what the examiner is asking for. Let's go back to the case study. In 1A, the examiner is asking for, look at the requirement here. Let me just copy the requirement, Control C, and let me take the requirement to the Word file, right? I just copied the requirement on the Word file. I hope you can see it. Now listen to me carefully. Just give me 1 minute. I can set it down in a good manner, and then we can start discussing it so that when you take a printout of this file, you have very clear notes and effective notings. Okay, now the question number 1A is asking you 16 technical marks. And the question is asking you, the chief business analyst has asked you to prepare a briefing note. So what is the format? Briefing note. So I should put the answer in a format of a briefing note. Is that part of my journal professionalism? Yes. A briefing note for the finance director for consideration at the next board meeting. And what I should be discussing in the briefing note, which discusses the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful in the home country. Discuss the key factor which enabled Highlight to be successful in the home country. So I want to discuss the factors which enabled Highlight to be successful in the home country. How many marks I have to discuss these factors? 16. Now, generally, the marking scheme in SPL is 2 marks per valid point. 2 marks per valid point. I will be covering the technical marks tomorrow and the marking scheme tomorrow, but just for the sake of guidance, 2 marks per relevant point you write in SPL. So the moment the student looks at that, I want to discuss the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful. So how many factors should I be discussing in all? In 16 marks, if every factor is worth 2 marks, I should be discussing 8. So 8 factors from the case study, which made Highlight successful. Now, there might be a need of a model here. We'll be discussing that tomorrow. Technical marks are tomorrow. You might need to apply some Porter model here, but I'm just keeping it silent because I will be discussing that all tomorrow. Just ignore it. So 16 marks will be discussed tomorrow. But after the 16 marks, where you have to discuss the key factors, see what the examiner is asking you in terms of the professional marks. Let's change the color of the professional marks, red. Examiner is saying professional marks are available for demonstrating. This is key. Demonstrating. If you're not demonstrating, you're not getting it. Professional skill marks are available for demonstrating analysis skill. Now, I normally ask my student, look at this. Control C, and I bring it down here. Professional skill marks are available for demonstrating analysis skill, full stop. Suppose this is the way the examiner writes professional skills in the exam paper. Then what will you do? Examiner is asking you, professional skill marks are available for demonstrating analysis skill, full stop. And you will get confused. What is analysis skill? One student will say, okay, analysis skill is this. One student will say analysis skill is that. One student will say, oh, analysis skill means this, that, this, that. And there might be 10 ways of how the student put the analysis skill. But is the examiner putting a full stop after analysis skill in the actual paper? Is the examiner saying demonstrate analysis skill, full stop? No. Is the examiner continuing the statement after analysis skill? Yes. So if the examiner put a full stop after demonstrating analysis skill, that is a confusing statement, and I might think different, you might think different, another student might think different, and 10 students will have 10 different answers to analysis skill, true or false, if the examiner put a full stop after analysis skill. True. But see what the examiner is doing. Examiner is saying demonstrating analysis skill, and he continues after. Analysis skill in investigating and considering information from range of sources. So if any student investigates and if any student consider information from range of sources when he or she is writing the answer, one student identify the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful from one exhibit, and one student identified the key factors which enabled Highlight to be successful from 5 exhibits. Which student has attained the analysis skill marks? The student number 1 who just picked the key factors from 1 exhibit, or the second student who picked up the key factors from 5 exhibits? Which student has scored most of the analysis marks? Second, because what is the examiner saying? That in order to demonstrate analysis skill, you need to pick information from range of sources. So is the examiner giving you a way to demonstrate? Is the examiner giving you a way to demonstrate analysis skill? Yes or no? Yes. Or is the examiner putting a full stop after analysis skill? Is the examiner putting a full stop after analysis skill? No. And or is the examiner telling you the way to demonstrate it? So every time the examiner says demonstrate something, the examiner will also tell you how to demonstrate. Learn this, learn this. Every time the examiner asks you demonstrate a certain, demonstrate a skill, sorry, when examiner asks you to demonstrate a certain skill, the examiner will also tell you, the examiner will also tell you how to demonstrate it. That's the key. That's the key. And I say that how to demonstrate is basically known as the hint by the examiner, is basically known as the clue by the examiner, is basically known as the prompt. The examiner will give you the hint, examiner will give you the clue, examiner will give you the prompt. And if you pick it up, you will score marks. So when examiner asks you to demonstrate a skill, the examiner will also tell you how to demonstrate it. Are you getting this point, everyone? So is the examiner only telling the skill? No, but examiner is also telling how to demonstrate it. Are you clear, everyone? So if the examiner is telling you how to demonstrate it, then what's the stress level? What's the stress level? So if you look at how to demonstrate, what is the examiner telling how to demonstrate? In investigating and considering information from range of sources. So any student who investigate and consider the key factors which enabled highlight to be successful from range of sources, will he or she gets most of the 3 marks? Now tell me. Now look at the breakup of the 3 marks. Look at the breakup of 3 marks. If I need to make a breakup of 3 marks and fetch them, I will say, okay, the 3 marks includes professional marks 3, and I try making a breakup of 3 marks. I'll say, okay, I'll fetch these 3 marks if I put the answer in the format of a briefing note, number 1. Number 2, I'll get these 3 marks if my answer has appropriate headings of the key factors, I have appropriate headings of the key factor. Each para explaining the key factor should not be more than 4 sentences long. Then I should avoid repetition. I should avoid repeating points, repeating the key factors in my answer, And finally, I should pick key factors from range of exhibits, not just one exhibit. Just read it in 1 minute and tell me, does it make sense to all of you? Look at this breakup of professional marks and tell me, have I demonstrated in the bullets my journal professionalism, and have I demonstrated the skill in the bullets? Look at the bullets. Read it 1 minute. So if I have all the 5 bullets in my answer, will I fetch 3 out of 3? Or at least 2.5 or 2 out of 3? Because there is an element of subjectivity. Look at the last thing. I should pick key factors from range of exhibits, not just one. Is that what the examiner wants to be demonstrated as part of analysis skill? So is the last one part of skill demonstration? Is the last one demonstrating the skill demonstration? And is the first four part of journal professionalism? So the first four are part of your journal professionalism. Let's write it this way. The first four are part of journal professionalism, right? And the last one is part of skill demonstration. Am I right? So together both becomes professional marks, skill demonstration. Together both becomes professional marks. Is that what I told you at the beginning of the webinar today? Two things together makes professional marks. Are you all clear with it? So journal professionalism plus the skill demonstration is equal to what? Professional marks. Will you learn this formula? Journal professionalism plus skill demonstration is equal to professional marks. Is this the right formula? Professional marks. Is that formula right, everyone? Have I demonstrated that formula to you? Tutor note. So every time when the examiner tells you to demonstrate a skill, will the examiner tell you how to demonstrate it? And that how to demonstrate will be known as a clue. So will the examiner give you a clue how to demonstrate it? Just like in this question, examiner give you a clue that if you pick things from range of sources, you are demonstrating the analysis skill. So has the examiner given you a clue how to demonstrate? Has the examiner given you a hint how to demonstrate? Has the examiner given you a prompt how to demonstrate, everyone? So is everyone sound? 1A, should we move to 1B? Okay, this was 1A, right? Let's see how you go with 1B now. 1A done. Let's go with 1B. 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 Let's see what the examiner is asking for in 1B. Back to the case study. Okay, I hope you can see the case study back again. Now in 1B, look at this. In 1 minute, just read it out. In 1 minute, just read it out before I do my analysis. Look at the B technical marks and look at the B professional marks quickly before I do a breakup of this on my Word file. Your time starts now. See, is the examiner giving you a hint of how to demonstrate the evaluation skills? Have you read it? Okay, is the examiner telling us how to demonstrate the evaluation skill, or is the examiner leaving us blank? Yes, very good answer, Ikra. Balanced and an objective appraisal. Now let's do an analysis of this on the Word file. Let me take the question on the Word file. Control C. Control V. Now listen to this very carefully. See what the examiner is telling you. And after this, we'll take a 10 minutes break. Examiner is saying, using the fact sheet referred to above and any other relevant information. So using the fact sheet referred. So that means the fact sheet is like an exhibit. So examiner is saying using the fact sheet. Let's go to the case study. Let's see, is there any exhibit about fact sheet? Okay, can you see an exhibit number 3 here saying fact sheet relating to the proposed acquisition? So examiner is saying most of the answer will be in exhibit 3. Most of the answer will be in exhibit 3 because examiner is saying using the fact sheet. So where is the fact sheet? Exhibit 3. So are we very sure that most of the answer will be in the exhibit 3, everyone? So using the fact sheet referred above, that means exhibit 3. Exhibit 3 Exhibit 3, and any other information. So can we just use Exhibit 3 to make up the answer? Yes, but there can be any other information as well. So it's better reading the full case study. But most of the answer will come from the fact sheet, because the fact sheet discuss the acquisition. But you can also use any other information if possible. Prepare a report. What is the format? Report for the finance director, which evaluates what? The proposal to acquire Comfy Stay Hotel. Proposal to acquire a Comfy Stay Hotel. So we need to prepare a report, and in that report, we need to evaluate a proposal to acquire the Comfy Stay Hotel. How many evaluations we should have for 16 marks, which we will cover tomorrow? Roughly 8 evaluations. Every evaluation is worth 2 marks. Now, examiner is saying professional skill marks are available for demonstrating evaluation skill. Is the examiner putting a full stop after evaluation skill? No. Examiner is telling how to demonstrate evaluation skill in presenting a balanced and an objective appraisal of the relevant information to the acquisition. So any student who conducts a balanced and an objective appraisal of the proposal will fetch marks. What does balanced and objective appraisal means? Will you just be looking at in favor of the acquisition, or if there is any point against the acquisition, will you justify that? If there is any point against the acquisition, will you write that as well? Because the examiner is saying you need to give a balanced and an objective appraisal. So will you just write points in favor of the acquisition? No, you will write points in favor as well as against. And then you have to give a conclusion, because when you're writing points in favor and when you're writing points against, you have to give a conclusion, because evaluate means to give a conclusion. Now, is the examiner giving you a hint again that which student will get the professional marks? Which student will get the professional marks? Who will do the balanced plus objective appraisal of the proposal to acquire Comfy Stay Hotel. Now that is very simple. Balanced and objective appraisal means favor and against the proposal. Favor and against the proposal. So any student who finds the point in favor of the proposal and against the proposal, plus giving a conclusion. Plus giving a conclusion whether the acquisition, whether we should acquire or not, whether we should acquire or not. Is everyone clear with this? Right, so are you getting the breakdown of professional marks? So in this question 1B, what will exactly be the breakup of professional marks? If I make the breakup of professional marks here, how many professional marks we have in 1B? We have professional marks, which is 4. So any student who writes the answer for 1B in the format, number 1 is the report format, which is important. Headings as much as possible. Avoiding long paragraphs when you are evaluating the proposals. Avoid repetition. Avoid repetition, right? And then comes the key. So this was part of your journal professionalism. This was part of your journal professionalism, right? And in journal professionalism, you did all this. But now comes skill demonstration. Skill demonstration. In terms of skill demonstration, you need to give a balanced and an objective appraisal. So examiner is giving you a clue, right? This is a clue, balanced and a objective appraisal. So any student who picks points in favor and against the proposal and also provide a conclusion, because whenever you do a pros and cons analysis, you have to give a conclusion, right? Because if you're saying this is good, this is bad, then you have to conclude. That's quite logical. against and also provide a conclusion will be able to demonstrate the evaluation skill. But has the examiner given us a clue how to demonstrate evaluation skill, or was the examiner putting a full stop after evaluation skill? Tell me. Was the examiner saying demonstrate evaluation skill full stop? Or was the examiner saying demonstrate evaluation skill by presenting a balanced and objective appraisal? So are you becoming clear with the breakups of these marks? This is the second time we're doing the same exercise. Journal professionalism and skill demonstration. What is the worry factor? What is the worrying factor with skill? Every time you read a skill in exam, you cannot go with a rote learning of skill. How many times a student rote learn a skill? So many times. You're not rote learning the skill. You're just looking at the clue given by the examiner. Did we got a clue in 1A? Tell me. Did we got a clue in 1A? How to demonstrate the analysis skill? Did we got a clue in 1B? How to demonstrate the evaluation skill? So what's the difficulty? What's the difficulty? So how was it? How was it? How was the first 1 hour? Has 1 hour given you some thought process at what is coming in the next 1.5 hours? More learnings on professional marks? Have you got some clarity? Have your stress level gone down? Have your stress level gone down 1 hour before and 1 hour after? Or is it still the same? Has it gone down? Still the same? Okay. So we'll go to the other parts of December 18. Claudia, will it go down then? Okay, it's going down. It's going down. Some is saying very helpful. Some is saying down. Some is saying it's going down. Some is saying a bit. Okay, so in the next 1.5 hours, will it start going down further? For those who are saying it's a bit. Okay, good. So I hope this is a pretty simple exercise. If you read the line of the examiner, which is about professional skills. So every time when you read a paper, examiner gives you a line about professional skills, right? Just like this. So if you just read that line properly and you try picking up what the examiner is trying to say, what is the examiner trying me to do? So in this question, the examiner was asking you to give a balanced and an objective appraisal. So if you give a balanced and an objective appraisal, you're wonderful. But if your answer just contained favorable points of acquisition, have you demonstrated the evaluation skill? If your answer just contains the favorable aspect of the evaluation, of the acquisition, But if your answer contains points in favor and some points against, have you done justice to what the examiner wanted? Yes. So we're taking a break now. Post break, we'll resume back. We'll look at the other parts of the December 18 paper, which is down 1A done, 1B done. So we're almost done with 39% of the paper. Tomorrow, we'll be looking at the technical marks from the same paper. We go down and look at the question number 2. So question number 2 has professional marks, 2A, 2B. So we'll start evaluating them right after the break. We're taking a break for like 10 minutes. So we'll resume back at 4:45 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time, and we'll continue the session. So we have a break till 4:45 p.m. No, Claudia, you don't need to know the meaning of the skill, because so far what we have done in 1A and 1B, if I knew the meaning of analysis, if I knew the meaning of evaluation, was it useful in 1A and 1B we have done so far, Claudia? The 1A and 1B, the definition was helping me? No, the definitions were not helping me. So I hope by the end of the session today, you get a very clear answer, Claudia, that there is no need of learning the definitions. I've seen so many students that learn the definitions of the skill. But when we looked at 1A and 1B today, was there a need of a definition, everyone? Was there a need to know the definitions? Because examiner was telling us how to demonstrate it, right? So we're taking a break. I'm just putting that in the chat box. We'll resume at 4:50 p.m. Pakistan time. So it's just like 14 minutes break. I'm putting this in the chat box for all of you. Have you got this message, everyone? Resume at 4:50 p.m. Pakistan time. Okay, great. So in the break time, will you read the question 2A in front of your screen? And will you think about how to go about it? So I'm just putting this question 2A in front of your screen, and I'm just putting my camera off and putting my voice off as well for the next 14 minutes. I'll see you right after the break. Please drop the feedback of how the session was so far. Was it good? Was it excellent? Was it fair? Was it satisfactory? So just keep dropping your feedbacks in the next couple of minutes. Thank you. I'm just muting myself now. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all can hear me and you're all back from the break as well. And many thanks to your Pista for your comments. If my webinars have given you the confidence to face the SBL exams, that's wonderful. And really appreciate your comment as well. Okay, are you all back from the break? Can you all hear me? Please confirm that. Okay, great. So we are resuming back on the same exercise. I hope you can see in front of your screen the question number 2A. Let's do the same exercise on the professional marks. Breaking the professional marks into journal professionalism and the demonstration of the skill. So I'm just copying the question number 2A from the screen and I'm taking it to my Word file. So let's do the analysis of the question number 2A. Just give me 1 second if I can arrange it. So this is the question number 2A now. So let's copy it on the Word file 2A. And let's see what exactly the examiner is asking for. Again, technical marks comes tomorrow on the day 3, and the proper way of doing a case study comes on the 4th day. Today, we are just looking at the professional marks. So technical marks tomorrow and a full case study on the last day. Okay, see this 2A now. The 2A is saying, prepare a draft press release. So we have to prepare a draft press release. That's the format. Responding to the criticism, assessing the social and environmental impact of highlights proposed investment in Willendia with a view to reassure its stakeholder of highlight intention to maintain high principles and standard in acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel. We have 10 marks for that. We need to respond to the criticism which must have come in the newspaper. Now, every time you look at the exhibits here, just for the sake of knowledge, even though we have to do it tomorrow. When you look at the exhibits, look at there is an exhibit from the newspaper. And it's quite common to find an exhibit from a newspaper in the SBL papers. Can you see the exhibit number 4 is about a newspaper article? All of you can see that on the screen. Okay, every time you see a newspaper article as an exhibit in exam paper, sometime it contains the positive news about the industry or the company. But most of the time, the newspaper article contains negative press about the business, something bad about the business. Yes, in some exam settings, we have seen positive news about the industry or positive news about the company in the newspaper. But most of the time, it's the negative news. So when you see the D-Land Daily News article, Exhibit 4, you think, oh, there might be something negative about the company. And you come back to the Word file. And it says, responding to the criticism, that means the criticism must be in the exhibit number 4, because you're responding to a criticism which must have come in the exhibit number 4, which is the newspaper. See how you pick the exhibits, right? And there must be some concerns in the newspaper, and you need to mitigate those concerns. You need to respond to the criticism. How many marks you have? 10. So how many respondings you have to give? 5 respondings. Respond to the criticism. And when you're responding to the criticism, what you have to focus on? You have to focus on reassuring the stakeholders of the highest principles and standards Highlight has put in place in acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel. So you need to reassure stakeholder that whatever is put in the press is wrong, because we had put the highest standards, highest principles when we acquired the Comfy Stay Hotel chain. We have done nothing wrong environmentally. We have done nothing wrong socially when we acquired the Comfy Stay Hotel. So there must be some bad press about your acquisition of Comfy Stay. There are some environmental criticism against the company. There is some there is some social implications about the company as a result of the acquisition of the Comfy Stay Hotel, and you need to respond to that. So your responding will be 10 divided by 2, 5. And when you are responding, you need to reassure the stakeholders of the Highlight Hotel that nothing is wrong and we have abide by the highest principles and highest standards. Right? Is that clear to all of you? Even though we have to discuss the technical side tomorrow once we come on day 3. Now look at the professional marks. Professional marks are available for demonstrating communication skill. Full stop, no. Examiner is telling us how you should demonstrate communication skill. So is the examiner continuing the statement after communication skill? Yes. So demonstrate communication skill, but then the examiner is telling us exactly how. This is examiner telling us how. Yellow. In clarifying and conveying relevant information to the highlight stakeholder. Because there is a negative press in the newspaper, and the shareholders and the stakeholders of the Highlight Hotel is very disturbed because of that negative press. So you want to reassure them, right? So because you want to reassure them that everything is right, so you need to clarify what? You need to clarify what? You need to clarify the criticism which has come in the newspaper. You have to go against the criticism which has come in the newspaper. You have to speak against the criticism which has come in the newspaper. You want to clarify that. Clarify, number one, and convey relevant information to the stakeholder. Which relevant information are you conveying to the stakeholder? Which is about the high principles and standards. Highlight Hotel has put in place when they were acquiring high principles and standards. So you need to clarify, means you need to clarify the criticism, and you need to convey the highest principles and standards you put in place when you're acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel. If your paragraph has both of them, you are scoring most of your professional marks. Now listen to me carefully here. When you look at your professional marks, 3, look at the breakup, and I'll come back to it. Just 1 minute. 3 professional marks. You need to write a draft press release first. That is the format. After the draft press release, you will use headings as much as possible. Probably 5, because you are responding to the criticism and you have 10 marks, 10 marks divided by 2. So ideally you can have like 5 headings in the answer, making up the 5 paragraphs. Avoid long paragraphs, avoid long paras, avoid repetitions, and finally, when you look at the part of demonstration of the skill, listen to this very carefully now. Journal professionalism is done. But after the journal professionalism, when you look at the demonstration of skill, that's important here. Demonstration of skill. Now, examiner is saying when you're demonstrating the communication skill here, you need to demonstrate the communication skill in clarifying and conveying relevant information to the highlight stakeholder. Control C, and you bring it down, Control V. And you say, okay, examiner is saying clarify. And you ask a question, what should I clarify? And you say, oh, I need to clarify responding to the criticism. So what I need to clarify? I need to clarify the criticism. I need to clarify the criticism in the newspaper. Clarify means what? Clarify means clarify means going against the criticism. So will the company accept the criticism? Never. Any company accepts the criticism? Never. So clarify means going against the criticism. So will you agree with the criticism? Never. No company agrees with the criticism when they're writing a press release, right? When you're writing a press release, you go against the criticism. Clarify. Second, convey. What do you want to convey? You want to convey, look at this, high principles and standards in acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel chain. So you want to convey to the stakeholders that as a highlight hotel, we have maintained the high principles and standards in acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel, and the stakeholders will get reassurance. So if you clarify the criticism, number one. And if you convey the high principles you have put in place when you were acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel, will this lead to a reassurance to the stakeholder? Tell me. Clarify plus convey is equal to the reassurance to the stakeholder. Reassurance to stakeholder, what the examiner was asking. Is everyone getting my point? Are you all with me? Are you getting the perspective, how I break things down, how from where I got things up? Are you picking what I'm doing? Are you picking how I'm taking things into the answer? So clarify is to go against the criticism. Convey is to convey the highest principles you put in place when you are acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel. So if you tell stakeholder that we put in place the highest standards, and you tell stakeholder that whatever is put in place is wrong, will that lead to a reassurance to the stakeholder? And is that what the examiner even asked for in the technical marks, reassured the stakeholders? So is everyone becoming clear how you are demonstrating the communication skill? So in the communication skill, you need to clarify. And in the communication skill, you need to convey. So when you're writing one paragraph, in that one paragraph, you should have a clarification. You are going against the criticism. You're saying this criticism is wrong and justify why it's wrong. And then you convey that we have put in place the highest standards in acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel. The highest standards will be given in the case study. Will the highest standards be given in the case study? Will there be a certain paragraph which tell you the highest standards you put in place when you were acquiring the Comfy Stay Hotel? Everyone, right? So you need to pick that out and mix that with the criticism, right? Just one suggestion. Let's take an example. Suppose, look at this. You read the case and you picked from Exhibit 4. You picked from Exhibit 4 one criticism. You picked from the newspaper one criticism in the Exhibit 4, right? Now, once you put the one criticism, see how you answer. Suppose you put the heading. You put the heading like this. You will not put the heading like this, but this is just an example, right? Criticism 1. Suppose you put the heading criticism 1, but you will put the heading in a proper words, whatever the criticism is, whatever the name of the criticism is, you put that. Heading criticism 1. Under that, you will first tell in the bullet, in the first few sentences, like the first two sentences, in the first two sentences, you will tell this is wrong and why. So you will justify that the newspaper is telling wrong, this is wrong, and why. Then in the second two sentences, you will tell that highlight, put the highest standard, and you justify which one against the criticism, which one against, because there might be many standards you put in place in the case study, which one against the criticism, full stop. So you first tell that whatever the newspaper is saying is wrong and why, and then you tell what highest standard you put in place, which one exactly against the criticism. So that will make a 4-sentence paragraph for one criticism, and you fetch 2 marks for that. I hope you're getting clarity, everyone, that what you have to do for one criticism. So one criticism, bullet number 1, bullet number 2, right? Is everyone clear with 2A? Is everyone clear with the professional marks under 2A? Please tell me that. Are you finding some clarities, all of you? Good, very good. Okay, let's move on to the next exercise. Before we wrap up things, I'll just try doing 2 more so you're very clear. And then we'll wrap it up. Okay, we reached 2A, right? So let's go down, look at the 2B. Can you all see the 2B on your screen? Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute. Please read the 2B quickly. Start reading 2B. You have 1 minute. And after that, tell me so that I can do the analysis. Start reading 2B. Look at the technical marks, look at the professional marks, and look at the hint. Look at the hint of how to demonstrate the skill. Okay, have you read the 2B with the 12 technical marks, which we will be discussing tomorrow, and 3 professional marks, which we're discussing today? Okay, that's great. I'm taking the 2B on my Word file for an analysis, and that will complete another 28 marks. So let's go with 2B on the Word file, 2B, copy paste. This is what the 2B was asking. Let me just put it in the right format, and then we start discussing it in the logical way. And this is how you put the 2B here, right? Okay, you put the 2B, and then you start discussing it. Okay, let's go down. The first thing is the finance director has asked you to provide her with the briefing notes. So which format to put the answer in? Briefing note number 1, which she will use to assist her in the discussion with the highlight board members, comma. What to put in the briefing note comes after the comma. The briefing note should have what? Which assess the role and benefits of integrated reporting in an effective communication and in building relationships with the stakeholder. So assess the roles and benefits of integrated reporting. So that is what should be in the briefing note. You have 12 marks. So how many roles and benefits are you looking for in terms of integrated reporting? 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2. So you're looking at 6 roles / benefits. Now it's up to you how many roles you write, how many benefits you write. You can write more roles, less benefits, more benefits, less roles. You can segregate between roles and headings. You can write them together. That's totally up to you. But in all, it has to be 6. Now, knowing we have to write 6 roles and benefits of integrated reporting, and when we are focusing on the benefits, we should focus on benefits in assisting effective communication. So how can integrated reporting be part of effective communication? Number 1. And how can integrated reporting be good in building relationships with the stakeholder? So you need to focus on the benefits which try to build relationship with the stakeholders, or you try focusing on benefits of integrated reporting, which is towards effective communication. Because one of the benefit itself of integrated reporting is it is an effective communication to the stakeholder. It is a concise communication to the stakeholder. It gives an holistic overview of so many things to the stakeholder. And building relationships, how integrated reporting benefits in building relationship. How can integrated reporting build good relationship with stakeholder? You try to focus on the 2 areas told by the examiner. Building relationship, what benefits, and effective communication, what benefits, to fetch better 12 marks here. Then you come down with the professional marks. Professional marks are available for demonstrating evaluation skill. Is the examiner putting a full stop after evaluation skill? No. Examiner is saying you need to demonstrate evaluation skill, but then telling you how. And that's from where the how starts. So every time the examiner says demonstrate an XYZ skill, and right after that comes how. So in using appropriate professional judgment. So you have to use an appropriate professional judgment as a student to assess how useful integrated reporting could be to the stakeholder. How useful integrated reporting could be to stakeholder. You have to use your judgments here. Now, this is a sort of answer, because when you write benefits, my benefits and your benefits, if there are like 100 students, every one of you will have different benefits for integrated reporting, because some of you must have learned the benefits from a Kaplan book, some of you must have learned benefits from the BPP book, some must have learned from over the internet, but you try to adapt those benefits in the context of the case, and that's where you're using the judgment. Now, when you're writing 6 roles and benefits and you're using your judgment, which one of them are good one, which one of them are the best one in terms of effective communication or in terms of building relationships, you're trying to prioritize the good ones. So every student will have a different list of benefits. Can there be a matching between benefits? Not at all. When you're writing some advantages, I normally find very less coordination among students, because there is a diversified list of advantages mostly the student writes. Every student have a unique set of advantages which he or she is writing in the exam paper. So you need to exercise a judgment in how useful integrated reporting could be to the stakeholder. Is that something very journalized here? That you need to exercise the judgment that how useful integrated reporting could be? But are you looking at the drawbacks of integrated reporting, or you're looking at the benefits of integrated reporting? If any student focus on the drawbacks, focus on the limitations, will you be getting the marks for evaluation? No, because your focus has to be on how useful integrated reporting is. So if you focus on usefulness of integrated reporting, will you fetch most of your professional marks? Yes, Jabo Sala, every time evaluation has a different meaning, right? There is no one meaning of evaluation. Just before the break, we saw evaluation was to do a balanced and an objective assessment. Now over here, evaluation means to exercise a judgment. So there are so many meanings of the word evaluation, right? So you cannot just learn one meaning of evaluation and go to the exam hall. See, every time the examiner is saying you have to use an evaluation skill, examiner is telling you how. So you have to pick that out, right? That is the student. I'm answering Jabo Salah. I hope you're getting my answer here. So every time evaluation will be different in exam paper, right? Examiner will tell you what you need to evaluate and how you need to evaluate, right? So there is no one definition of evaluation. There are so many definitions of evaluation, even when you search over the internet. I hope you're clear on that, right? So how to go about this professional marks here? Let me give you a breakup and then particularly discuss the skill demonstration here. Now, when you look at the professional marks here, professional marks, I'm waiting for your answer, Salah. 3 marks. And you get to the breakup of first the journal professionalism. And then you get to the skill demonstration. Right. So in terms of journal professionalism, the first thing is that you need to put the answer in a form of a briefing note. So you need to put your answer in the form of a briefing note. Then obviously you will use headings because you have like 12 marks and divided by 2. So ideally 6 roles and benefits is what you're writing. So you can have like 6 headings approximately, or less than 6. It depends upon how you want to structure the answer. Okay, so 6 roles and benefits, right? Headings, avoid long paras and avoid repetition, right? So that is what you're doing under the journal professionalism again and again. But when you're demonstrating the skill, what are you doing under the demonstration of skill? You are demonstrating the evaluation skill basically. But how? When you look at the how, the examiner is saying, use appropriate judgment in assessing how useful integrated reporting is for the highlight. Copy paste. So any student who focus on identifying potential usefulness of integrated reporting to stakeholders in terms of what? A student who focus on identifying the usefulness of integrated reporting in terms of number 1, number 2. What is number 1? Effective communication. Number 2, building relationships with the highlight key stakeholder. So if any student, when he or she is writing the benefits, suppose you're writing 4 benefits, And in your first 4 benefits, there is no benefit about effective communication. There is no benefit about building relationships. Have you given the right benefits? Have you given the right usefulness? If none of your usefulness is about effective communication, if none of your usefulness is about building relationship with highlight stakeholders, have you given the right usefulness? Tell me. Have you exercised the judgment rightly? So when you are trying to pick up the usefulness, should the usefulness be what the examiner is telling you? Usefulness in terms of effective communication and usefulness in terms of building relationship. So if you're writing 4 usefulness, at least 2 of them can be on effective communication and building relationship, and 2 of them can be anywhere. Is that better? And if you can write all 4 on effective communication and building relationship, that's wonderful. Is that clear? So at times you need to look at the clue in the technical marks that examiner wants the benefits, but examiner wants the benefits in terms of effective communication and building relationships, right? So when you are exercising a judgment, how useful integrated reporting can be. So are you looking at the usefulness in terms of effective communication and in terms of building relationship just to be more in line with the case study? Will that be a better exercise of judgment? Or should I ignore effective communication and I ignore building relationship and I try writing whatever I want to write? Will that be a better judgment? Which is the better judgment? The one around effective communication and building relationship, or the one not around it? Right? No, examiner is not exercising the evaluation around the roles, right? Examiner is asking for evaluation around the usefulness. So roles is something journal, right? Roles is just the purpose of integrated reporting. What is the purpose of integrated reporting? What is the objective of integrated reporting? So examiner is not telling us that you need to exercise evaluation around the role. Examiner is saying you need to exercise evaluation around the usefulness. So usefulness means the benefits, right? Are you clear on that? So Bezza, this is not a class, right, where I can guide you about what is the difference between building relationships and effective communication. Effective communication, we know integrated reporting itself is a tool, right, where you put holistic reporting to the stakeholder, because you know that in integrated reporting, you communicate information about 6 capitals. So that's quite an integrated report which you present to the stakeholder, and it gives a diversified view, a diversified communication to the stakeholders, right? You should not mention any cons, Abin, because over here you need to focus on usefulness. So if you focus on any cons, you're going wrong, because every evaluation is different. In the previous evaluation before the break, we were looking at the pros and cons because the question was asking for. In this evaluation, see what is the examiner asking for, Abin. Examiner is saying only focus on how useful integrated reporting is. So when the examiner is saying how useful the integrated reporting is, why are you thinking about a cons here, Abin? So not every evaluation needs con. You need to read the sentence of the examiner very carefully, Abin. I hope you're getting my point here. Right? So please ensure you go over the internet and browse the benefits of integrated reporting. You will get lots of benefits of integrated reporting, which will be around effective communication. You will get lots of benefits over the internet, which is about building relationship with stakeholder. Do you communicate about 6 capitals in integrated reporting? Do you communicate about 6 capitals in integrated reporting? Yes or no? Tell me about the financial capital. When you communicate about financial capital, with which stakeholder are you building relationship with? With which stakeholder are you building relationship with? Shareholders. See, are you getting some clues of writing benefits? When you communicate about the natural capital, the planet, with which stakeholder are you building relationship with? When you're writing about the planet, natural capital, the community, very good, the community, and even the pressure groups. So are you getting some links that how you build relationship with different stakeholders through 6 different capitals in the integrated reporting. Are you getting that track, everyone? So look at the skill once again. The skill was asking you, use appropriate judgment to assess how useful integrated reporting is. So are we just looking at the side of the benefits, or are we looking at the side of the disadvantages? Because you need to exercise the judgment to assess how useful integrated reporting is. So should we just focus on how useful integrated reporting is, Abin? Or should we look at the disadvantages of integrated reporting? So we're just looking at how useful integrated reporting is, right? No disadvantages here. And while you are focusing on the usefulness, should we try focusing on usefulness, which the examiner wants us to write? Will that be a better judgment? Is that a professional judgment if I write the usefulness looking around effective communication and looking around building relationship? Will that be better? Or rather than a write usefulness on XYZ and not focusing on effective communication and building relationship, which is better, the one given in the case or one out of the case? So final point. So when you look at your judgment, the judgment must be in context of case. The judgment must be in context of case. Second, the judgment must be around what your examiner wants to see, In this answer, examiner wants to see the usefulness mostly around effective communication and building relationships. That is what your examiner wants to see, right? And even if the examiner would not have given you effective communication and building relationships in the answer, and you were writing the benefits of integrated reporting, and you start writing all the bookish benefits of integrated reporting you learned in the BPP book or you learned in the Kaplan book, will that be right? No, because you need to see the case. You need to see what is going in the case, and you try writing the benefits in the context of the case. You cannot just produce the list of Kaplan and BPP and say, oh, I wrote the answer for benefits. No. Even though the examiner is not telling you about effective communication or building relationship, you still need to write the benefits in context of the case study in the SBL exam. You cannot write journal benefits. You cannot write out of case benefits. You still need to write the benefits which are linked to the case study, which are synced to the case study. I hope you're getting my point here. Yes, Ikra, there should not be much of the spelling mistakes. Spelling mistakes should not be many. If there are few spelling mistakes, that's fine. But there are many spelling mistakes in your answer that can be a big cause of your losing professional marks. So not many spelling mistakes. Now, again, few and many spelling mistakes, Ikra, is a professional judgment, right? Don't ask me what is few and what is many. Is everyone clear with question number 2B? Are you clear with exercising the professional judgment here in terms of evaluation scale, looking at the usefulness? Though we had a bit long discussion here, but I hope you're getting the track here that how you should be evaluating here. So is every time evaluation will be the same? No. Every time evaluation will be different. You have to be very careful. But if you learn the meaning of evaluation and you go to the exam hall, you will be least bothered about reading the examiner's sentence, and you will just try to pick the meaning of evaluation and you write the answer. And you might write the disadvantages of integrated reporting. You say, oh, evaluation means pros and cons, just like Eben was thinking. Eben was thinking evaluation means negative, positive. But the examiner was not asking for negative in this question. And you mistakenly write negative, you're losing your professional marks. I hope, Eben, you're getting my answer, because again and again, I'm trying to address your question, but I'm not getting any replies from your side, Eben. Okay, thank you so much, because I was waiting for your answer. Because if any student asks a question, it's very important that you should reply when the tutor gives you an answer as well, because otherwise it starts creating a confusion that whether you understood it or not. Thank you so much, Eben. So are you getting some track of how you read a question and how you pick up a situation, just like we have read so many questions? So you pick up a question like 3A and you say, okay, what the 3A is asking. And then you look at the marks, professional marks. Let's do one last, and in which I want you to be involved. Look at this 3A and start reading it now. And I want some answers from your side this time. 3A. This is the last one we're doing for the class today. 3A on your screen. Start reading it now. You have 2 minutes. This is the last one, and then we'll start wrapping up the webinar. Look at the 3A. You have 2 minutes. Start reading it now. Keep a pen and paper with you and look at the professional skills very carefully. Okay, have you read it, all of you? 3A, another 18 marks in total. Okay, great. Let me take it on the Word file. Now, tomorrow, when we do the same question for technical marks, you will be amazed how you look at the case study broadly. Every question I've done today in terms of skills, I will be doing the same questions tomorrow in terms of technical marks. Now, when you bring them together on the final day, the technical marks and the professional marks together, you will get a clear picture that how things have to go in collaboration towards 100 marks. Okay, let's do the 3A finally and close down things. Okay, is my voice clear to all of you? Are you getting things that are in the right tone from my side? Okay, thank you. 3A, the last one. 3A, copy paste. And I hope you can all see the Word file as well, right? Because I've switched from the past paper to the Word file. So just need to confirm that you can all see the Word file in front of your screen now. Okay, that is great. Let's start looking at the side of professional marks again. Okay, let's first read the requirement. The requirement says the chief business analyst has asked you to write a report. So what is the format? Report. For the next board meeting, which discuss. So from discuss starts the requirement. Discuss the potential challenges. So we have to discuss the potential challenges to the highlight hotel posed by the development of the disruptive technology which are emerging in the hotel industry. So what are potential challenges to the hotel industry? Sorry, what are potential challenges to highlight hotel from disruptive technology? Potential challenges, and highlight the potential applications of disruptive technologies which may be considered. What potential applications of disruptive technology highlight can consider when they want to implement it? The question stands at 14 marks. Now, everything is worth 2 marks. So when you write a challenge, every challenge will give you 2 marks. And when you write a potential application of disruptive technology, which may be considered by highlight, that itself is worth 2 marks. So every potential application which you believe should be considered by highlight. So every potential application you write is 2 marks. And every potential challenge you write is worth 2 marks. Are you getting that, everyone? So 2 marks for a potential challenge and 2 marks for a potential application. So you get in total 2 marks and 2 marks, and you have total 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Now it's up to you how many challenges you want to write and how many applications you want to write. You can write more challenges and less applications, but you cannot say, okay, I'll write all challenges and 0 application. That will be wrong. So you need to write some challenges and some applications. The number you can decide yourself. Okay, now looking at the challenges of disruptive technologies and looking at the potential applications of disruptive technology, now comes the professional marks. Professional marks are available for demonstrating skepticism skill. Is the examiner putting a full stop after skepticism skill? No. Rather, examiner is telling us how you should go down with demonstrating the skepticism skill. Available for demonstrating skepticism skill. How? In probing and challenging the opinions of the board. So does that mean that in the case study, the opinions of the board about disruptive technology will be given? Opinions of the board about the challenges of disruptive technology will be given. In the case study, opinions about potential applications must be given. So will you find the board opinion somewhere in the case study? Because you need to probe and challenge the opinions of the board, right? You need to probe and challenge the opinions of the board. And where will the board opinions be given? Logically, if you come back to the case study, look at this. At the most recent board meeting of highlight, a discussion occurred on the threats of disruptive technology. So where will be the arguments of the board, which you need to probe and challenge? In which exhibit? In the exhibit on board meetings. Let's see which exhibit is about board meetings. Okay, can you see there is an exhibit number 6, which is board meetings? So will we find the answer in exhibit 6 mostly? Will we find most of the answer in exhibit 6? Because that will give us the board opinions. And we need to raise our arguments against the opinions. Now, I think that's quite easy, because when you're probing and challenging the opinions of the board, what does that mean exactly? In probing and challenging the opinions of the board, does that means you will be questioning the opinions? That means if a certain opinion is good, you will be with it. If certain opinion is bad, you will raise arguments against it. So is it more like a pros and cons again? In probing and challenging the opinions of the board, you need to be alert. You need to raise questions. You need to raise questions against the opinions of the board members. Now, some board members must have given a good opinion, so you can appreciate that as well. Skeptical doesn't mean just going against. Skeptical just means be alert, be open. If something is good, it's good. If something is bad, it's bad. So when the auditor is performing the audit, he is skeptical, right? If something is good, the auditor accepts it. If something is bad, the auditor goes against it. So skeptical doesn't mean that you have to be against all the time. So when you are probing the opinions, some of the opinions might be good and you appreciate them. You go with them. But when you're probing the opinions, some of the opinions may be wrong. Some of the opinions needs to be challenged. So you need to probe the opinions and you need to challenge the opinions, but not all opinions will be challengeable. I hope you're getting my point here. Aruna, you are right. You're perfectly right. So, but is everyone getting my answer here? That probing, you probe the opinions of the board, but if a certain opinion is wrong, you challenge it. You definitely, when you read the opinions with the knowledge of disruptive technology, you go with in the exam hall, you will definitely know which opinion is good and which opinion is bad. I think that's quite logical. One student is asking, how would I judge which opinion is good and which opinion is bad? You do have knowledge of disruptive technology, right? So when you go with the knowledge of disruptive technology and you look at things in the context of the case, you can judge what is right and what is wrong. I think that's quite a common sense. So is everyone becoming clear in probing and challenging the opinions of the board? So you pick up the opinions, and if the opinion is wrong, if the opinion is wrong, you need to challenge it. Means you need to raise questions against it. You need to raise questions against it. So pick up the opinions. And if the opinion is wrong, you need to challenge the opinion. You need to tell what is wrong in that opinion. You might need to raise questions on the wrong of the opinion, and you need to go against it. So you need to probe the opinions. You need to challenge the opinions of the board. So there might be an opinion of a finance director. There might be an opinion of a marketing director. There might be an opinion of an IT director. So not necessarily every director is giving a wrong opinion, but some of them might be giving a wrong opinion, which you need to challenge, which you need to criticize, right? So challenge is equal to criticize. Is that clear to all of you? So how would you get your professional marks in this question? How would you get your professional marks in this question? How many professional marks you have? You have 4 marks here. So how would you go about it? First, you will get marks about your journal professionalism. And for journal professionalism, you will get marks by putting the answer in the format of a report. Headings. Approximately how many headings you will have? 14 marks divided by 2 is equal to 7 points. So 7 point means roughly 7 headings. And then you get with avoid long paras. Then you get with avoid repetitions. And then finally, you get down with demonstration of skill. You get down with demonstration of skill. Yes, exactly. You're appraising the opinions, right? You're appraising the opinions. Probing means you are appraising the opinions. Some of them would be good, some of them would be bad, but you need to be alert. You need to be alert of the opinions. You cannot just say, okay, all opinions are good because the board is giving them. Even the board is giving them, some of them might be wrong. Demonstration of skill. You are demonstrating skepticism here, right? And in terms of skepticism, what is the examiner asking us? Examiner wants us to probe plus challenge. Probe plus challenge the board opinions. So we need to probe the opinions. We need to challenge the opinions. That's what the examiner wants us to be doing here. I've already given you the demonstration of probing and challenging above, so I'm not writing it down here. So if you write the report format well, you put proper headings, you avoid long paragraphs, you avoid repetitions, and you try to challenge the opinions. Suppose you're writing 7 points. In 7 points, you have 3 to 4 challenges. You have 3 to 4 areas where you challenged. It's good. But you're writing 7 points and there is no challenging in the 7 points. You're losing your demonstration of skill marks. So you might even fetch like 2 out of 4. But if you are challenging some of the opinions, not all of them, you have a fair chance of scoring 3, 3.5. Is that clear to all of you? So what should be your aim out of 20 professional marks? What should be your aim out of 20 professional marks? At least 15 or more, not less than that. Now tell me, I'm just trying to give you a winding up exercise here. Just listen to me carefully, and then you have a question, I will be answering you. In the session today, the webinar, day 2, we have focused on professional marks, and I tried developing a definition of a professional marks from the examiner report and from the article of the examiner, which is Importance of Effective Communication in SBL, where on the page number 7, journal professionalism has been explained by the examiner. And in the March-June 21 report, if I can show you that for the sake of your reading back at home, just let me show you the examiner report. I hope you can see the examiner report on your screen, everyone. The examiner report for March, June 21. Is that on your screen in front? Right? Okay. Now, when you go down this report, you will see examiner giving us on page number 6. Can you see the content page, page number 6, professional skill marks? I just click on this and I reach page number 6. And examiner is telling us right over here what I just told you in the session. Can you just read it right from the examiner report so you start trusting the tutor here? Can you just read it here? What I highlighted with you in yellow? And tell me, is it exactly what I guided you today? Is everyone clear? Is that what I just told you in the session today? So this is directly coming from the examiner report. That was not my analysis. I didn't found a definition of professional marks. I found the definition of professional marks from the examiner report and right from this article. Can you see this article back on your screen? Importance of effective communication in SBL, please confirm that. Okay, and on the page number 7, on the page number 7 of this article, when you go down to the content page, on the content page, you can see the page number 7. The page number 7 is telling us about journal professionalism. I click on it, we'll reach journal professionalism. An examiner is telling somewhere, just 1 minute, sorry, just need to find. You need to read this out here. Examiner is telling us right over here what a journal professionalism is within the page number 7. So you can just read the page number 7 for journal professionalism, right? Which will really help you with more clarity on professional marks. Okay, now just let me formulate the last thing, the summary for the session today, before I take your Q&As and wind up the session. Summary. Professional marks. Now listen to this summary very carefully because this is something which you will be implementing. Summary professional marks. Listen to this very carefully. Number 1, 20 professional marks in the SBL paper, right? That means 1/5 of the paper is professional marks. That means important. 1/5 of the paper is professional marks. Now, then the summary is how to gain professional marks. That's what we discussed today. How to gain professional marks and what is the breakup of professional marks. What is the breakup of professional marks? We got that. Now, when we developed how to gain professional marks and what is the breakup, we got two things. We got a formula that professional marks is equal to journal professionalism plus demonstration of the skill. The two together makes up the professional marks, which is 1/5 of the paper. Now, when you look at what is the journal professionalism, the journal professionalism was very clear. Use the right format asked for, right? That's number 1. Let's change the bullets here for journal professionalism. It becomes more interesting. Use the right format, tick. Use headings as much as possible. Avoid long paras. No para should be more than 4 sentences. No para should be more than 4 sentences long, and avoid repeating information. So 4 things, right? In journal professionalism, format F, headings 2, para 3, and repeating 4. So if you try making a mnemonic, that's F, H, P, R, something like that. F is format, H is heading, P is para, long para, and R is repeating. 2 things have to be avoided and 2 things have to be used. So let's put the avoid in red. Let's put the avoid in red, and let's put the use in yellow, and let's put the use in yellow. So there are 2 avoidings and 2 repeatings, right? Two avoidings and 2 using, sorry. Just let me change this color here because when you take a print out of this, would not be usable. So let's put the font color in red. Red avoid, and again red avoid, and 2 yellows. That's what you need to do. Then we talked about demonstrating the professional skills today. Demonstrating professional skills today, which is part of your professional marks. And in terms of demonstrating, we reach a conclusion whenever examiner asks you to demonstrate a skill, examiner will also tell you how to demonstrate it. The examiner will tell you how to demonstrate it. If a student pick rightly from the examiner statement how to demonstrate, the student will be on the right track to fetch most of the professional marks, And when some marks full stop. Is that clear? So you need to read the sentence of examiner carefully, which says demonstrate an XYZ skill, and then you read after. So examiner will tell you exactly how to demonstrate, and you pick up the how, and you're capable of putting the right tone in the answer. So if the professional skills are to be demonstrated, you can only demonstrate them by picking up the how from the examiner statement. Is that clear to all of you? Is this summary workable for all of you? So what should be your target? The target should be try fetch 15 marks or more out of 20 professional marks. And you will be on the right track for success in SBL exams. That's my advice as a tutor to all of you. So how was the session today? When we started 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago, and most of you thought professional marks is a fear factor, even though some denied that, but some of you agreed that professional marks is a fear factor. Now, 2 hours down the road, and almost to the end of the webinar day 2, what is the mindset? What is the mindset for the students who had a fear factor? Claudia, you were a bit confused. Have you got some mitigations over the session? Okay, that's great. So how many of you have started to believe that professional marks are doable? How many of you started to believe that professional marks are doable? You have how many days? 13 days. In these 13 days, whichever question you are doing at home, will you read the professional marks carefully? Will you exactly do the brainstorming on the professional marks as I have done today in the classroom? Will you just try to break them down before you attack them? So in the exam, in the reading and planning time, will you spend a careful time picking what and how the skill is to be demonstrated? I think if you know the professional marks, your chances of passing the SBL in upcoming December 21 exams will increase considerably. If even anyone is repeating, you will get pass. If you're going for the first attempt, you will get pass, provided you score 15 or more than 15 in terms of the professional marks. So I hope the objective of the session today has been achieved, and I hope you liked the objective today. Now, just before I wrap up the session today, which was the day 2 today, where we're looking at the professional marks all across, And I hope I tried doing justice within the time constraints. And again, considering these are free webinars, in classrooms, we speak more than this in the actual classrooms. We have a day 3 tomorrow, right? Which is all technical marks. Just like today, tomorrow is all about technical marks. I'll use the same question December 18. We'll go into the technical marks. We'll go into the marking schemes. We'll go into the examiner criticism on technical marks. We'll go into that what student do wrong with technical marks, like not syncing the answer with the case study, not developing the answer in line with case study, putting lots of things which are hypothetical, not even mentioned in the case study. So we need to find the do's and don'ts with technical marks tomorrow, which is 80% of the paper. So 80% of the paper comes in focus tomorrow. And then on the final day, we'll take the 100% paper. Because you have done the 20% paper today, we'll do the 80% paper tomorrow. So on the final day, we'll go to the practice platform and we'll just look at the do's and don'ts of the practice platform. We'll look at how you copy paste and how you use the response options, how many windows to open up, etc. We'll do lots of discussions on the platform on the final day. So I hope you will be coming back for the day 3 and day 4. We have an exciting agenda for tomorrow and day after tomorrow as we try winding up things over the next 2 days. The timings of the 4th day will be changed because I have an upcoming coffee with tutor session with ACC Pakistan, which is on the AAA paper, which is exactly on 25th of November. So I will communicate you the revised timings for 25th tomorrow after the end of the webinar tomorrow. So I will communicate you the exact timings of 25th of November. The webinar will take place on 25th, but the timings will be changed. So I'll update you on that. Okay, thank you so very much, all of you. I'll be uploading the recording shortly and we'll be sharing the Word file and the presentation with you on the WhatsApp group as well. Thank you so much for being part of it. Have a nice day, study effectively, and I'll see you back tomorrow. It's your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from the SBL Webinar to Success for December 21 exams. Take care, goodbye, and Allah Hafiz.